Well, we're saying the big story for today, and we're talking about the judiciary in focus and the recent call for reforms as it concerns the judiciary, and especially coming after the backdrop of what played out in 2023. And many of that call seems to be coming on the heels of more judgment to come in 2024, especially as it concerns the governorship election, that many feel needs to be in the way of the people and also seem to be in the right way of justice. Well, that's what we're still having as a major one on the big story for today, and I still have my guest right here. We're talking of no other person but Barrister Emmanuel Eriri, and also we'll be joining back with Franklin Osia Esquire, a legal practitioner. When that happens, definitely we'll bring him on board to see how we can truly, or rather how he can truly help us to address some of the issues that would be raised on account of our discussion today. But anyway, as much as we say so, it's only right we go straight and get the message from our proud sponsors. And we're talking about Benetta Gas. And when we come back, more discussion centered on the big story for today.
Oh, yeah, follow the road, auto better quality. If you talk gas matter, oh, yeah, follow Benetta. Gas with the better quality. Benetta gas. That's where they pull the rich man to Benetta gas. Delivery brother na sharply. Benetta gas. For Benetta gas, no mago mango. Benetta gas. Different type of gas cylinder. I feel like that gas we go last you well. Benetta gas. For gas matter, Benetta now do. Benetta gas. Gas service in a them they run. Benetta gas. Benetta make you carry go.
For gas matter and home delivery, make you wire Benetta gas plant for 080-6745-7890 and 080-5904-7722. Benetta gas plant, the Tequele of gas matters.
Well, because it truly matters, and that's why we're talking about it. We're looking at the third arm of government and the judiciary, and what needs to be done to bring back that trust that many Nigerians would have on the judiciary, knowing that it's the final say for the common man. And anyway, that's what we're still looking at. But let's quickly bring you back to it, Barrister Emmanuel Eriri. But before we do, I need to just quickly run through what we had initial and talking about the very first half of the big story today. We talked about why that reason of mistrust seems to exist between Nigerians and the judiciary, especially as it concerns last year. And everything will be hinged on the election that took place last year. And many feel some of the decisions taken by the courts did not go in the popular way. But anyway, whether popular or not, the law still remains the law. But let's come back to it now, because like we said, there's this entanglement between many feel, though, between the judiciary and the political class. And now looking at it, that's where the problem lies. And many Nigerians, do forgive my language, have this growing distrust for our political class. And that seems to be creeping in to the judiciary. But my next question now, looking at that, how can the judiciary be independent and still have its ground, just like in other climes? And a very clear example of such is what even played out in Israel. Recently, there was a bill to limit the power of the courts. And just funny enough, on Monday, the court threw away that bill and stood on its ground in Israel. So let's look at it. Can our judiciary ever stand up to the political class and hold its own as the third arm of government?
Well, to answer that question, first and foremost, as a judicial officer, you ought to know your first primary assignment or duty,
and which is
to uphold
the law,
the rule of law, to protect and preserve the rule of law. Because the rule of law simply means the way the law should follow, or the way the law is, and apply it stricto sensu. Yeah. Now, if the judicial arm wakes up to the responsibility, in fact, thank God you just cited the example of Israel.
Yes.
That is how a judicial arm of government operates. Because if you take away the judiciary from the executive and the legislature, you have invited anarchy. Because when you make the law and the executive enforce the law, and there is no arm to interpret or to also protect these laws being made, then you have given way for anarchy. Now, as a judicial officer that have been appointed, because where this problem is coming from that actually is affecting the independence of the judiciary, we have to be fair to ourselves. You see, where politicians are involved in recommending persons to be appointed to such an office,
there's every tendency of control.
Of course, that's what is playing out. And even though as an officer, a judicial officer, though recommended by the political class to hold the office, the moment you take the oath of office, you always say, or you repeat that, you will not allow your personal interest to affect that of your office. So if we have that understanding and we have that willpower to take certain decisions in the interest of the public, not minding whose horse is God, then the Nigerian citizen, the confidence they have in the judiciary will be restored. When some judgments keep coming, even against the government and against political class, provided that they apply them in line with extant laws, not with sentiments or trying to gain public policy. No.
Or patronage.
Apply the law the way it is. In fact, if you remember people like them, Justice Oputa, the Justice Kayode Show, we can't see them again. So many practitioners, activists are crying that what happened to our present day judiciary? That is a total narrative from what they are saying.
Do you feel all of these entanglements and control of the political class is also hinged on the fact of the lack of financial autonomy of the judiciary? What? Do you feel that as a means whereby, because you made mention of, recommending them for such offices by political class, but also we do know that the financial autonomy of the judiciary seems not to be. The legislative arm seems to be the one giving out the required cash when the time arises. And sometimes we've had cases where we hear them withholding such cashes because the judicial arm is not playing ball. So do you see that as another huge control of the political class over the third arm of government?
You see, when you start, I told you earlier on in our discussion that when you are dealing with politicians, you have to be very careful. You have to be very, very careful. You can recall what happened to the former Chief Justice of Nigeria.
Yes.
Justice Walter Onnoghen.
Yeah.
That incident that happened to that judicial officer should be an eye-opener to every judicial officer who wants his name or his integrity to be intact, to learn from that incident. So the painful one, though, but he allowed himself, by way of political affiliation, because the truth of the matter is that, have you not asked yourself, how will people know that Mr. A gives bribe to George A or Mr. B gives bribe to... The same persons who gave you the money will say they want to blow your trumpets. Particularly when people say that, this judge is very upright. So we judge. The judge will give so. And when you want to, in fact, they play so well that they will have evidence
to portray
their points. Now, there are so many judicial officers who have been dismissed upon complaints for judicial corruption. So it's expected that having taken the decision to go to the bench, you have a lot of challenges. And one of the challenges is you trying to be compromised, particularly in political matters. I told you earlier that it is electoral matter that have brought the judiciary into the spotlight.
Yeah.
Because people feel that is where the oil well is. They come with different currencies and all that to truncate the wishes and aspirations of Nigerians. That's why you see the outcry of the electorates. Oh no, this gentleman, we don't like it. They paid some billions of naira to George A. But like I told you, because the system is done in a way that the judges can speak to defend themselves. That is a predicament. But a judicial officer who knows the reason why he has taken such an appointment would always, no matter the income that comes, if you are contented, then you can do justice. And the politicians will still be the ones who say that, no, don't go to justice so. They won't be the ones to play your trumpet. Rather, they also be the ones to bring your downfall, because they know how to play the games, the rules of the game. So if you, as a judicial officer, have taken that bold step to sit as an umpire to decide cases. You saw what, if you read our biblical, what happened, what played out when Pilates, Pontius Pilate, Jesus Christ was brought before him. Yeah. People said, this man, you must swap him for Barnabas. Even when Pilate saw that this man had not done nothing wrong. Why? He said, no, Pilate, you must. So, and the man said, well, it's how you're tied. He had to use his judicial discretion to allow people, because he can say otherwise. And when the man is living, they will kill him. So we have seen instances whereby some of these judgments that have been given. I was discussing with a colleague some weeks ago, particularly what transpired in Kano. I'm trying to see what the Supreme Court will say on Kano's
judgment.
That most of the judicial officers, immediately they delivered the judgment. In fact, I was even privileged to talk with one of them who said that the SSS told them to vacate the states. So that is to tell you that one thing is to give a decision, and another thing is that decision to be carried out. You who have even handed down the decision, you are not even safe. And we live in a country where this security is on the rise. So one who is being given an opportunity to administer justice, and you are not in a secured environment to administer that justice, humanly speaking, you will be very, very careful.
And sometimes you might end up compromising.
After deciding, that's okay, you don't talk finish at me, okay, let's see how far you will go. So you say there are factors that play out why these things are there, but people will not see these factors. But we that are inside the system, we understand these factors. And when they play out, we know the reason. That I cited that of Kano. There are other states.
You're talking about it because let's stick with it, because you brought it up. And in the next 2 months, all eyes will still return to the judiciary.
Very well.
On account of judgment that will come from the Supreme Court, on account of governorship elections. Exactly. And like you said, there's this growing fear that sometimes most of these decisions might not go with the popular belief.
Exactly.
That's what we'll definitely see. Just like you said about Kano, just during the weekend, violence erupted there. We saw some cars being burned on account of even a judgment that has not done yet.
Yes.
So my question now is, are these fears germane of some of the outcome of this governorship election as it concerns the Supreme Court? Many states will be waiting in January up to the late part of February that these decisions will come. And some of these states are already getting the spotlight of, whoa, what are we going to do? There are fears that violence might erupt if some of these decisions are not popular with the people. So let's look at these fears and how we can whittle down most of these fears, and also see how most of these verdicts will not just be called verdicts as coming from the Supreme Court, but be seen to be also just and according to the law.
Yes. Talking about fears.
Yes. So are these fears germane?
Yes. A lot of, like I told you, the political space now is it's not really tense per se, because you know why I always have this belief, and that is the position, that until politicians say that it is a game, it's not a do or die affair. Why are all these permutations coming up? Because the federal system of government we operate have made it so expensive and given an erroneous belief that you just go there, acquire as much as you can.
Advocates.
Hence the desperation. The moment you design the office to be less attractive, you will see less persons aspiring to political offices. But until that is done, or there is a legislation to reduce the attractiveness of the office, either at the local, state, or federal level, these things will come up. Now the players who are at this, the center of all this drama, they know that if they don't do this, the other party or those in government will not see the seriousness on their parts. A lot of things that play out from, or that have been playing out from 2023, thank God we're in a new year.
Yeah.
We will know when we enter a new year, we always pray, make resolution, and hope for the best.
Yeah.
A lot of things that play out, some of them are designed to cause distraction, to raise the political space or tempo where ordinarily such things ought not to exist. Because if you as a politician know that this is a game, there must be a winner, there must be a loser. Like those who will always tell you, come, let's work together for the growth of
the state or
the
whatever.
states. So if you have that at the back of your mind, that, well, it's a contest, there must be a winner, there must be a loser. But provided the winner extends his hands of fellowship to you, that let us come together. If actually there's a sincerity of purpose again in that hands of fellowship, then what is the issue of whether enjoyment is given favorable or not? Because most of the enjoyments that are given, like I told you, there are so many factors that are responsible. Yes, we know that the law will be applied, or the law should be applied.
Which will be the basics?
Based on your facts and evidence furnished before the courts. Because the court, like I told you, is not speculative.
Yeah, should not.
So if that is done, and a decision has arisen from a panel that have been entrusted or vested with the power to hand down such a decision, even if the decision does not go in your favor, but because we as students of jurisprudence, we follow what they call judicial precedent. I was okay, these are precedents that subsequent years we fall back to. When we have the same facts and circumstances that have arisen. So you don't need to crack your memory. We fall back to such a decision. But because when we have that, with various conflicting decisions, people keep worrying. I was listening to SAN when he was actually expressing his displeasure with the judgments of the Supreme Court, that it is 45 years of practice, and to a large extent I align with his view, that where he became so amazed and was not comfortable, or no longer comfortable with the Supreme Court, was the decision they handed down in the case of the current Senate President, Akpabio, and Ahmed Lawa, that they don't know the jurisprudence on how they came about those decisions, that the man who did not participate in a primary for the office is currently occupying, having contested for presidency, suddenly he came back and now the Senate, that they don't know how
that
it should have years. So, and a lot of us lawyers, we were wondering, what was the rationale? Was there any other law that we never knew that was in existence upon which the courts arrived at the decision? So when all this play out, you actually give Nigerians a lot of doubts in their mind to ask whether the judiciary actually is playing, or they know that people's feelings are being hurted, because having come out as an electorate to vote, to cast your vote, whether your candidate wins or not. But when I say that the process, yes, it may not be 100% perfect, but at least let them be seen to that something has been done. Yeah. That is our, so that I say that the issue will arise first from the electoral umpire. If they do their job, or the exercise is fair, nobody will approach the courts. But when the exercise is not fair, or there are some games, will now go to the court. But again, the people that say that even the courts we are going to, you cannot even distinguish between the election umpire and the judiciary.
We distinguish that very soon. But we plead with you. We need to also now go on a break. And when we come back, I will talk more of a conclusion as it concerns what should be done as it means reforming the judiciary and also making Nigerians bring back that strong belief that indeed is the hope of the common man. Let's go on a break.